Mandangur, Alan. Marang Nyarin, Marang Yaria. Yuan Yandi, Brendan Thomas. Jiramadalinya, Badu, Wiradjuri. Thanks for that introduction, Alan. Good morning or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Brendan Thomas. I'm a proud Wiradjuri man and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Legal Aid New South Wales, Australia. Legal Aid New South Wales is incredibly honoured to host the 2021 International Legal Aid Group Conference. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of Sydney, the land this event is being hosted from, the Gadigal people, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge my Aboriginal and Indigenous colleagues from around the world participating in this conference. Legal Aid New South Wales is the biggest legal service in Australia, public or private, and we have our footprints all across our ancient land, on the country of the Wiradjuri, the Dharawal, the Darkinjung, the Yuin, the Kamilaroi, Bundjalung, Gambandjeri, Biripi, Awabakal, Darug, Gadigal, Barkindji, Nyemba and Dunghutti peoples. We provide legal services in the areas of criminal, civil and family law through a statewide network of 25 offices and 243 regular outreach locations. We have about 1,200 staff and provide about 1 million services a year. Our purpose is to provide readily available and easily accessible legal services to disadvantaged people throughout New South Wales. And we do that by putting our clients at the centre of everything we do. People often come to us with nothing. No money, no home, no liberty, but they do possess the rights afforded to them by the laws of New South Wales and Australia. And we are often the only means our clients have of asserting those rights and making sure that our justice system is just and accessible to them. We provide outreach services to Aboriginal communities and other structurally disadvantaged groups through our civil law service for Aboriginal communities, through our refugee service, our mental health advocacy service, our health justice partnerships and all of our regional offices. We have a dedicated disaster response legal service which has been providing services in response to the devastating bushfires and floods that we in New South Wales have experienced over the past year. Until the COVID-19 pandemic, most of our services were provided face-to-face, in our offices, in courts, in cells, in outreach clinics, at Aboriginal medical services and in prisons. Like every other organisation here, we've had to change. Our Director of Client Service, Jane Sippens, and our Solicitor in charge of our civil law service for Aboriginal communities, Merinda Dutton, will inform you about what new practices have emerged in Legal Aid New South Wales to respond to COVID-19. I'm conscious that each member of the Legal Aid group and the people that many of you serve have had and are having very different experiences of COVID-19. For most of us, the last 18 months have meant profound loss and change in all aspects of our lives, in our families, in our communities, how we work, how we connect, and I have to say, some of you have suffered much more severely than others. The pandemic has shone a light on the great difficulties we face in creating and maintaining strong mechanisms for accessing legal aid. We have had simply to be unable to work like we did before. Lockdowns and the switch to digital service provision immediately impacted on the accessibility of legal aid services, exacerbated digital divides, and compromised due process. Collectively, we could no longer hold outreach events and community legal education. Our intensive, relationship-focused, place-based outreach to those communities had to stop, along with the ability to monitor the delivery of justice by police and other service providers. Many of our organisations have had to respond to huge increases in the frequency and severity of domestic violence and how to maintain contact with and assist people deprived of their liberty due to lockdowns. We were forced to become very adept at using technology to appear in court, to provide legal advice and assistance and legal education through the accelerated use of social media, mobile phones and Zoom, all the while being acutely aware that this technological shift risks the creation of greater inequality. I'm incredibly pleased to see the synchronicities between our agencies, as you'll see from the agenda. So many of us are embracing flexible and holistic service provision like health justice partnerships, socio-legal partnerships, and inclusive service models that go beyond the conventional lawyer-client relationships to assist particular client groups, elders, young people, and those that face systemic racism and bias in the criminal justice system, like my own people. Legal aid agencies around the globe are also increasingly focused on quality assurance, insisting on cultural competence from our staff, lawyers, and the judiciary, and ensuring we are collecting accurate and complete data to support evidence-based decision-making and argue for more equitable individual and systemic justice outcomes. These are the initiatives that will ensure that we continue to put the client at the centre of everything we do, and tackle the root causes of inequality while exploring how we can deploy artificial intelligence to resolve family law disputes and assist public defenders to prepare for defender hearings and use new mechanisms to achieve collective justice. The next few days will be a terrific opportunity to learn from experts and practitioners and visionaries from places like Sierra Leone, India, Lithuania, Chile, Japan, Brazil, Canada, the Netherlands, Belgium, and of course here in Australia, about the varied approaches taken to tackle the challenges that we face in achieving our common purpose. I've no doubt that you'll return to your work and your lives after this conference with fresh ideas and inspiration to bolster our collective commitment to assisting the most disadvantaged people in our communities to access the legal system and ensure that our new ways of working are sustainable and flexible enough for those who need us most, no matter what comes next. Enjoy the conference.